I jumped off a cliff. No? No takers? Raise your hand if you've ever wanted to take a risk to propel your career forward, but were afraid to try. This is a much more common experience. The problem is that to our brains, jumping off a cliff and taking a risk to propel yourself forward are the same thing. We don't need to jump off cliffs, but we do need to take risks to propel ourselves forward. And in order to do that, we need to be bold. Being bold comes in opportunities of all flavors and sizes. I once had a very unusual opportunity to be bold. I was at a Madonna concert in Washington, D.C., when out of nowhere, a security guard tapped me on the shoulder. Do you want to go on stage with Madonna? Yes! Me? Yes! I was at a crossroads. I had only moments to decide. Was I going to be overcome with fear and anxiety? Or was I going to choose to be bold and make the most of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? You can guess which path I chose. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, and I knew exactly how I was going to use brain research to be bold. I used 3 techniques, and whether you're trying to pitch your big idea, land a new client, or make a sale, anything to grow professionally, you can use these techniques too. Technique number 1, squash fear. Fear is a roadblock to being bold. When we're afraid, there's a small nut-shaped structure in the center of our brain called the amygdala, and it lights up like Clark Griswold's Christmas tree and impairs your ability to think. When we're afraid, there's a disruption between our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Your sympathetic nervous system is responsible for fight or flight, and it rises up and takes action when you're afraid. Your pupils dilate to the size of saucers, your heart races, your palms become sweaty. This is exactly the kind of response you want if you're being chased by a bear. I didn't want to look at Madonna as if she was a bear chasing me, so I stopped and I took several deep breaths. That dampened my amygdala's response and restored balance to my sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system so that I could squash fear and be bold. Technique number 2, say yes. Well, we have 2 opposing action systems in our brain, the response inhibition system and response initiation system. You can think of these as your brain's stop and go systems. Imagine you're in your car driving down the road when you approach an intersection and there's a red light. What do? Stop. What do you do? Stop. Excellent, you stop. Good response, glad you knew the answer, slightly concerned about the delay. Let's say the light turns green. Now what do? Go. Go, excellent. You put your foot on the gas and you floor it, get out of there. That's a little what it feels like to engage your brain's stop and go systems. The problem is that when we want to be bold and take risks, we can be inhibited. And that means we are locked into that stop system. The good news is it's easy to flip the switch. All you have to do to flip the switch is to say yes, commit to the action, and jump in with full force. That's enough to ignite inertia in your brain and activate your brain's go system so that you can move forward and be bold. When I was about to go on stage with Madonna, I had no idea what was going to happen. I just knew that it was going to be in front of 18,000 strangers. And it would probably live on YouTube forever. I knew that this was once in a lifetime opportunity, and if I didn't make the most of it, if I didn't choose to be bold, I was going to regret it for the rest of my life. I flipped the switch. I said yes and jumped in with full force to make the most of my opportunity to be bold. Technique number 3, leverage your knowledge. New situations are filled with unknowns. Imagine you walk into a meeting, you don't know how that meeting is going to go. The problem is that when we focus on the unknown, it creates anxiety and releases a stress hormone called cortisol that impairs your ability to think and gives you a beer belly. Don't stress if you don't have to. In order to reduce that, you need to tap into your brain's semantic memory network. This is a network of thousands of connected neurons in your brain. And when you tap into it, you give your brain a sense of feeling calm and at ease. When you tap into your brain's semantic memory network, you make the situation feel familiar. And research shows that familiarity cues positivity. So when you're about to go into an unknown situation, instead of focusing on what you don't know, focus on what you do know. What are your assets and strengths? What do you have to offer? What do you know about this situation or who will be there? Maybe you're meeting with Andrea and you know that you both like dogs. That's something you can use to make a connection. Maybe you're pitching your big idea to Brian and you know that he really likes graphs. So you insert 5 graphs into your presentation. You'll immediately feel more positive about the situation. When I went on stage with Madonna, I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no clue what was to come. But I did know this. I knew that Madonna respects people who are fierce and fearless. And I had already used technique number 1 to squash fear. I knew I could be fearless. I also knew that my strength was to adapt to any situation. And I used that with my time on stage with Madonna. When I stepped on stage, I saw her dancing. So I joined in. And when she put the microphone in my face and asked if I had anything to be apologetic for, I fiercely responded, "Hell no!" I made the most of my opportunity to be bold. And, bonus, I didn't fall on my face. I actually did very well and unexpectedly ended up with a credit on the tour film. 4 months later, at another Madonna concert, she recognized me. "Heather, I remember you. What world was I living in?" Being bold makes you stand out, makes you memorable, and gives you a competitive advantage. Imagine having a competitive advantage when you're trying to propel yourself forward. You want every advantage you have when you're trying to pitch a new idea, make a sale, or land a client. When you're bold in one small way, you can be bold in bigger and bigger ways. And being bold over and over again makes bold become a habit, a good habit, that gives you a dopamine score in your brain. That's a neurotransmitter that makes you feel good. And when you're bold, that's exactly the feeling you want. You want your brain to be bathed in a neurotransmitter that says, yeah, I want to do that again. Next time you have the opportunity, choose to be bold. Next time you have the opportunity, you will squash fear. You will leverage your knowledge. You will say yes, and you will be bold.